Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Real Music Show. My name is Dan Roe and I am the founder of Real Music and the host of the Real Music Show. Our mission is to unite music lovers with artists and passionate creators across the UK. The Real Music Show brings you closer to the artists and creators you love, along with some exclusive live performances. Today I am joined by a very special guest. Please let me welcome to the show, Martha.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So Martha, let's get straight into it. How long have you been playing music?
So my parents say I've been singing since forever, but I think that's a bit too cliche. So I say that I started singing when I was 9, which is when I had my first solo in church. And it went down really well. So then I started playing piano at the age of 10, but I absolutely hated grades and I just didn't enjoy piano at all. So then I thought I had to give up because I thought to go on in music you had to do the grades. But my piano teacher was incredible and she showed me chords. And so then by the next time that I had my lesson, I'd learnt this song that she showed me towards the previous lesson where I was going to give up. And I just took to it like a duck to water. So then 12, 13, I started writing. And then from then on, it's been going up ever since. I did a lot of non-televised singing competitions, which helped me get noticed by my artist development management. And then the previous 2 years, I've been recording. So yeah, it's been quite busy.
Very busy, yeah. That's interesting what you say though about like not enjoying the grades, because I think you're not going to stick at an instrument if you don't enjoy it.
No, and it's especially during school, they sort of push you to do the grades and you don't get told the other options, whereas doing music just for the pleasure of music has really been my saving grace, and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So.
Wow, that's good. It's good that you found that and you got that drive and you're saying that's it, that's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
That's great. So how would you kind of describe your music and style to people,
so,
if you were to sum it up?
I like to say that singer-songwriter is its own genre. Some people don't count it as a genre, so I put singer-songwriter under acoustic pop. But I also delve into a sort of folky style sometimes, slightly indie, but overall I say that I sing melodramatic music. So
I love that.
Under that.
No, that's great. I think like sometimes you can get into a bit of a rabbit hole, like pigeonholing your music into certain genres. And I personally really love artists that do like completely different styles in each album.
Yeah.
But I guess like the challenge is always trying to define yourself as an artist while still doing something different each time.
I've definitely got a brand going. With the first EP, it was just trying to find out what works well, what sound we're trying to go for. But we've already started recording the second one and it's already so much better and quite different as well. So it's changing all the time.
No, that's interesting. So what sort of experience have you had playing gigs today?
So I was just saying to you earlier, it's sort of been quite weird for gigs for me. I've done one festival, but before lockdown I didn't have any music out, so it's really hard to sell yourself as a musician, especially a young musician, to landowners and pub owners to try and get you gigs, because they just have to take your word that you're good.
Yeah.
And of course that's quite hard to do all the time. So during lockdown I've done a lot of live streams for other pages. There was one woman from Canada who was hosting a festival basically every weekend.
Oh, wow.
With artists around the world. So I've done loads and loads during lockdown, and now that the music's out, hopefully I'll be getting a few more gigs. But yeah, I could probably count on my hands how many times I've done a live gig at this point.
Oh wow, okay. So but hopefully now you've got all the music behind it, we'll get some traction.
Yes, definitely.
As everyone knows, we're in a bit of a difficult time at the moment for the music industry and gigging.
Yes.
But we're all hoping for the best, that we can come out of it pretty soon. I saw some like stories and stuff about gigs that haven't worked with social distancing. So hopefully, you know.
Well, I literally had one booked this week, and it was going to be towards the last weekend of August, and they're doing like an open air cinema thing, but throughout the day they wanted to have live performances. And so I was booked as a headliner for the Sunday, and then literally within a matter of days, the owners of the land which they were going to be doing this event on, they didn't want the music portion going forward.
Oh no.
So it's just, I don't know how we're going to get around it, but we're going to have to eventually, because else a big part of our culture is going to go, because music is really part of us, isn't it, as human beings?
Totally agree. It's the best feeling is like when you're connecting so many people in a gig. I think it's about bringing people together, and I personally love festivals for that reason. Like, just, you know, getting together with all your friends, like hanging out, listening to music, and just having that kind of really great community is just what it's all about. So what would be kind of like, have you received any compliments from fans? Like, what sort of feedback have you got on your music so far that's really kind of stood out to you?
So a lot of people liken me to Birdie and Florence and the Machine, which I just absolutely love, because they're my complete idols. Birdie is the reason that I am a musician.
Yeah.
I was in year 7 and I was on my flip phone late at night, and the only thing that's on a flip phone at 10 o'clock at night is the radio, and so I was listening to the radio when I wasn't meant to be, and they were playing her cover of People Help the People, and I just fell in love, because there was nothing like that at the time. So I've just always wanted to sing like her and be like her. So when people compare me to her, it's the most amazing thing. But I guess what I get quite a lot is my storytelling is quite prolific and detailed, and that's what people really tune into when they listen to me.
Wow, yeah. I was going to ask you as well, like, so you talked a little bit about your influences there, like, if there was any musician, whether dead or alive, that you could meet, who would it be?
So if I were to just sit and write a song with someone, it would have to be Birdie.
Yeah.
But if it were to perform with someone, at this point in time, it would be either be Florence and the Machine or Aurora. Aurora and Florence and the Machine both really focus on the songwriting, because I think that's the truest art form when it comes to music, is the story behind each song. A lot of people nowadays in the charts, it's the beat that's the driving force, and the lyrics are quite simple. So I like to really take it back to where the storytelling came from. It's like folklore. And that's what I really enjoy. So I went to go see Florence the Machine last year, I think, and she just flew around this stage, hitting all the notes. It was absolutely incredible. It wasn't even human, and to be able to do that with her, I think, would be amazing.
Hopefully that's one you can tick off the bucket list at some point.
One day.
Okay, great. So before we go into the first performance, I just want to ask like one more question. So if you could give advice to someone starting out in music now, like what would it be, and kind of what would you say is kind of the key to success?
I've had a few younger people actually message me online about this.
Yeah.
And it's just doing it, and also not listening to people because when I was 13 and I had written my first song, I went to go show my music teacher in secondary school the song, and she said she wasn't going to sit and listen to it if it only had 4 chords in, and this song only had 3. And so halfway through the song she got up and walked out, and if I had taken that to heart, I wouldn't be sat here doing what I'm doing right now. So some of the best songs in the world only have 3 chords in, and it's like it's music is so subjective that you've just got to keep going with what you like and what you want to hear, and not listen to what other people have to say, but then also be confident enough to just keep posting the videos and keep trying to book yourself the gigs and putting yourself out there in that way.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Absolutely. And you've got to remember in music there isn't really any rules.
No.
There's nothing that you can't not try and do. And at the end of the day, it's subjective. If someone says they don't like it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to like it.
You'll get noticed at one point for being different, and I think that's the hardest part to do, is to be different from the rest.
Totally agree. Yeah, especially when you're listening to all the music you love.
Yeah.
It's hard not to copy that. Definitely, but you just take. I look at it as like you're like making a meal or something. You take all the ingredients from like different places and then just mix them together in your own way.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're going to break into a performance now. So could you talk to us a little bit about the song you're going to play?
Yeah, so the first song I'm going to be playing for you is my song called Lunar, which is what my debut EP, which was just released, I think it's coming up to a month now, maybe 3 weeks ago, is named after, and it's called Lunar Eyes. And Lunar Eyes is about when I'm sat in my bed and I'm contemplating life, and I feel like I need to talk things through out loud. And so I like to look at the moon as a focal point, and be it religion or my conscience, I like to talk to it as if it were a person. And I thought this was quite interesting, and I know a lot of people have an affiliation with the moon. So I personified the moon, and I made it into a friend or a person, but it's almost like this unrequited relationship because they're so far away. And so yeah, it's that whole story basically.
Wow, that's a brilliant story. Like, I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you.
Then, let's take it away. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of episode 2 of the Real Music Show. Our guest today is Martha. I hope you enjoyed the first performance. We've got another one after part 2. But first, we're going to find out a little bit more about Martha's personal life and upbringing. So Martha, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chipping Sodbury. I've been here my whole life. No plans of leaving anytime soon. But yes, Chipping Sodbury.
Cool. Did you go to school around here as well then?
I went to school in St Paul's Catholic Primary School, which is in Yate.
Right. Yeah.
Just past the Lidl. So not too far away.
And sort of like throughout your upbringing, did you face any kind of like major hurdles or sort of setbacks?
I've been lucky compared to other people that I know. I guess the major hurdle when it comes to my music and myself personally is I have dyslexic tendencies.
Oh,
so
okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's quite. If I were to write my songs down quickly on paper, you wouldn't be able to understand them. Luckily now, autocorrect
Yeah.
helps because I just write all my songs in my notes now. But when I was younger, I was always writing like creative short stories, and my spelling was absolutely horrendous. And it was like so bad to the point where I had to have different spellings compared to the rest of my class. Because in my SAT, I got 0 in the spelling test.
Oh wow.
It wasn't very good. But I was never scared to try and expand my vocabulary and use more complex words. So then it's never really been a massive problem personally. It's only a problem if I'm giving a song to someone. Then they might have to send a few messages like, what are you trying to say here? Because it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I've been quite lucky. The only other thing is, as a artistic character, I don't have that many close friends around me. It's people don't see things the way that you see them, and I'm not interested in a lot of things that other people are interested in. So I have 3 really close friends, but in school I never had a big group, or it always seemed to fall apart because I wasn't quite interested, but it's never really bothered me too much.
That's good, because I think that's something that a lot of creative people struggle with.
Yeah.
Like they know they've got something like different in how they see the world, but sometimes like people that aren't as creative find that difficult to understand. It's quite hard to sort of communicate to someone, I find.
You have an artistic personality. You're quite sensitive, but it's because of that you're able to make the art that you do.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So yeah.
So, like, is there one thing that you know now that you'd wish you'd known when you started out in music?
People aren't always going to like what you do, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I get a lot of comments on my vibrato because it's quite unusual, and because I haven't been trained, it's not necessarily controlled. And to me, it's a characteristic, and it's something that makes me unique and different from everyone else. And some people really don't like it, and it's the thing that I get comments on most, negative comments on most. But it's also the thing that gets me a load of jobs. So it's like, do those small group of people really matter? If I was younger and I was receiving all these comments now, like I wouldn't cope, but you just don't listen to people.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think that's very important. We were talking about that in episode 1 a little bit, sorry, part 1. Like, you know, like you're going to get some negative like comments, but because music's so subjective, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Especially,
like you say, you've got to embrace like your uniqueness.
Especially as my following's been growing now, more and more people over the internet just feel it's okay to make those sorts of comments. So I'm still yet to receive something very serious, but it's people can just hide behind their screens and write something really mean and go about their day. And that's part of the music industry now, is everything's online, so you've just got to be able to take comments like that on the chin, and they wouldn't say it to your face in real life, so they don't matter.
Totally agree, and that's sometimes a negative of the internet. Like the internet's great in that you can connect with more people easier, but at the same time, like, you know, there's a lot of people that are posting on Twitter and commenting on Instagram and stuff that they're just saying loads of stuff because they're sat at home, but they wouldn't necessarily say that to you face to face, and I think that's quite interesting. Yeah, so I wanted to ask a sort of unrelated question to that, in fact, but it's more sort of personal. So, like, to date, what has been the happiest moment in your life? I know that's quite a deep one.
Probably the release date for my single.
Oh, that's great.
Because it was my first debut. It was the first thing I've ever created. The EP has taken me 2 years to make, so this has been 2 years in the process. And then before the release date, rightfully so, the Black Lives Matter movement happened, and that everything was nearly halted because of that. But luckily it was all received really well, because it was like a refuge for my listeners and my fans from the world that was going on right now. And you're not meant to chart in the singer-songwriter charts, if you chart, until around 2 a.m, and we checked at midnight and I was already at number 7, and I was just that feeling, I was just crying, because it was 2 years leading up to that moment, and then by the morning I was at number 1. So
that is amazing. That's really good. And I think like when you spend such a long time perfecting a record, people don't realise. They hear the final thing and it's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes or whatever, or a short EP that's 20 minutes, say. But they don't realise how many hours have gone into the writing and the recording and the networking and the promotion and everything behind it.
This EP will always be probably one of the most special, because it just came first, and it's where I discovered my sound and who I wanted to be as a musician. So no other release will ever be able to compare.
No, that's amazing. But hopefully we keep improving on each release, right? That's
definitely.
But the follow-up's always difficult when you've done a good first record. Like the follow-up's always the one that tests you. So, like, in terms of your songwriting process, like, what kind of inspires you, and where do you kind of draw inspiration from?
So I really like to, as I say, create stories, and a lot of my earlier music, when I was a teenager, was a lot about my friends, where I lived, people I've met, moments I've had, which are all really good songs because people can relate to them. But then as I've grown older, a lot of my stories I like to just completely make up, just out of thin air, and I like to imagine the music video that would go along with things and how I'd want to portray the visual side of it, and that helps me choose the right lyrics to have. But then also I really like to play on quotes and like sayings. So in my song Her Name's December, I write, light your fires and keep your windows closed, you can't trust her to walk amongst your homes. And in that part I'm playing on the meaning, don't let the cold in. And it's that sort of playing on things, sayings that people are familiar with, but in a creative way.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. So I think that stands out a lot about you, is how you write your lyrics. And do people notice that a lot, like when they're following your music and make comments on it?
It's the songwriting that a lot of people follow me for, and my demographic has actually grown to sort of middle-aged to older people.
Oh wow, yeah, that's good.
Where I was quite surprised, because I have like a teenage bracket, especially girls.
Yes.
And they're all they buy into you as a person and your brand and what you post. But then the older people who really appreciate the stories and the melodies and the music behind, who are maybe used to listening more to Kate Bush and Bowie and people like that, they are jumping on board with the storytelling. So yeah.
So as an artist, would you say that's kind of the biggest impact you'd like to have on the music industry?
Yeah. At the minute, I don't have a lot of people that I'm personally listening to, because Birdie hasn't released music for I think 6 years. Freya Ridings hasn't released anything recently. Lewis Capaldi released his album I think last year now. But yeah, nobody's released anything recently, and so I'm sort of writing the music that I'm missing out on.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a space for me at the moment.
Awesome. So talk to me a little bit about your future plans, like what's in store for you next.
So I'm already recording EP number 2.
Yep.
I've done a lot of radio interviews with BBC Radio Bristol, and I've got a few more coming up. But the next stage for me is to get a management so that I can be professionally pushed forward. So my following's already doing quite well across all platforms. But I need somebody to be able to push me further now, to be able to do the next step. So yeah, management next.
No, that's good. So like, hopefully that really helps you take off. So if people want to connect with you, like, where can they find you on social media and stuff?
So across all social media platforms, I'm Martha Music UK.
Brilliant. And we'll pop all the links below in the description for the YouTube. So now, to play you out, we've got another performance. Can you talk to me a little bit about this song you're going to play for us?
So this is the song that was going to be the single, but Her Name's December just topped it. This is my song called The One, and I wrote it after my first date with a boy. Everyone says, did he turn out to be the one? And no. But I think we all get those feelings and those emotions, and that's why it's so relatable and why it's gone down well with so many people. But so yeah, this one really is just almost like a diary entry. I've changed a few bits just for the interest of the song, but yeah, this is the one.
Brilliant. Okay, let's hear it. So thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.